Great. Well, thank you so much, President Carr. John Selden is General Manager at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, and as the leader of the world's busiest and most efficient airport, John oversees airport operations as well as a multi-billion-dollar capital program that will promote Hartsfield-Jackson growth over the next 20 years. So as Cannon mentioned, this afternoon I have the dual honor of not only interviewing John, but also introducing him as a new member of our Rotary Club. I'm joined by Eddie Myers and AJ Robinson in sponsoring John. It's terrific to have him as part of the club. A little more on John's background. He assumed the current position in Atlanta back in October of 2018. He's a former Navy pilot who, among other assignments, served at the Pentagon and in Operation Desert Storm over a 20-year career. After retirement, John flew for American Airlines until taking his first job as an airport manager at Republic Airport, the third busiest in New York State. And in 2008, John joined John F. Kennedy International Airport, where he rose to the position of Deputy General Manager, overseeing operations, maintenance, rail access, security, commercial development, and physical infrastructure investment. John's mission today is to strengthen the role of Hartsfield-Jackson plays as an economic catalyst for the region and gateway to the world. John has been married to his wife, Sharon, for 30 years. Sharon is a critical care nurse and I believe has seen significant duty during this pandemic. They now both reside in Atlanta. John and I kindled a very nice friendship over barbecue. As it turns out, we're both barbecue fans, and John likes the food at my barbecue restaurant, Twin Smokers. So we've had some fun. So John, are you ready?
Born ready.
Okay. All right. Well, great to have you with us today. And I want to first ask you why 110 million passengers per year, and tell us about Hartsfield-Jackson's impact on our state and region.
Sure. So why Atlanta, Georgia for 110 million passengers? Georgia's, I mean, I love Atlanta, but that is not the reason why we have 110 million passengers here and we're the busiest airport in the world. Our business model is the reason why. We are a low-cost airport that has tremendous efficiencies with our design and our 5 runways. And we have excellent customer service year after year. And we have great partners in Delta and the FAA and the TSA. And it is just a great experience to operate here. But most importantly, airlines are in the business of one thing. They love to take people from point A to point B, but they really like to make a profit. And at Hartsfield-Jackson is a place based on its business model of having a very low cost for the airlines to operate out of due to our concessionaires and our parking revenues, that they can operate here exceptionally efficiently, where the cost to enplane a passenger here at Hartsfield-Jackson runs around $5, and in Boston, it's $15. So if you make $10 more per passenger here at Hartsfield-Jackson as you do in Boston, and if you're, say, an airline like Delta that has roughly 40 million enplanements, that's $400 million to Delta's bottom line. So not only is it Delta's bottom line, it's American, it's United, it's JetBlue, it's Spirits, it's Southwest, and it's our foreign carriers that get to operate out of Hartsfield-Jackson at this remarkable, efficient airport at a very, very low cost. So that's really why we have 110 million passengers. But David, to tie on to your second question, is that number of passengers gives us a reach of 150 domestic destinations domestically and 75 international destinations. Obviously not at this moment, we don't have quite that many destinations, but we're coming back very sharply. With that global reach, we are a hub for business travel and for Fortune 500 companies to locate in Atlanta, and for other businesses to locate in Atlanta, that you can be in Atlanta in the morning, travel almost to 2/3 of this country, 80% of this country in 2 hours from Atlanta, and be back that night. And it's reasonable, and the service is outstanding. We are the least delayed major hub in the country. So it's very predictable. Business needs predictability. The stock market is a predictable indicator. And when there's predictability, there's good economics. We are that predictable airport that can take your business or your leisure travel to wherever it wants to go. So with 110 million passengers and almost 80,000 people coming through our front door every day pre-COVID, we have about 63,000 employees here at Hartsfield-Jackson. We generate about $51 billion in revenue to the Atlanta region. And then for the state, it's about $63 billion. And for the Piedmont region, which you'll see Tennessee license plates, Atlanta and Florida, and Alabama and Florida license plates, and South Carolina, that's about an $83 billion economic impact, and those numbers are from 2018. So we're in the process of doing another economic study to really capture what this airport does, and that it is the economic engine of Atlanta and of Georgia and of the region. There is no other airport within 225 miles of us. The closest one is Charlotte, and it's about 30% as large. So not only do we have a very good, robust cargo business, we have a great passenger connectivity here at Hartsfield-Jackson.
Well, we're very fortunate to have Hartsfield-Jackson, and I think the statistics, the information is unbelievable. I'd like to remind our Rotary Club that John loves to answer questions, and there's an online ability to ask questions. I've got a handful to ask John, but then please let us know if you have questions that you'd like John to answer. John, how has this pandemic affected the airport, and how have you, as the leader, had to pivot to meet the challenge?
So March 6th, 2,600 flights, 310,000 passengers a day here at Hartsfield-Jackson. Then we hit the storm. And I will tell you, April 4th, we, instead of having 310,000 passengers, we had 9,000 passengers that day. We dropped 97% in about 3.5 weeks. We went from 2,600 flights, and let's see, on April 11th, we had 400 flights. So the pandemic just hit us like a real brick wall. And then all the international travel was shut down, and we really didn't know what we had on our hands at that point from how do we recover the business. And so that's where we were, and this is where we are. And everybody always asks, what does the recovery look like? And you'll hear, V-shaped, L-shaped. We kind of have a Nike swoosh. So we fell off that cliff with the pandemic, and then we're kind of just going up very, very gradually in a recovery. And I will tell you, we have done things that we accelerated so many things, whether it's touchless, hand sanitizers, sterilizing our trains. We're doing all kinds of things to improve the customer and the employee safety here at Hartsfield-Jackson. Is it a perfect solution? Absolutely not. When we get a vaccine and everybody is vaccinated throughout the world, I think we'll be in a good place, or at least if you're vaccinated, it'll give you confidence to go forward. But we have made travel as safe as possible if you follow the CDC guidelines. So the pandemic has hit us significantly from passenger traffic. From a cargo side, well, I think everybody knows Amazon is flying quite a bit. Amazon's delivering quite a bit throughout the region here. We have 6 Amazon flights a day now. Our cargo business has gone up. We used to have maybe 15 to 20 cargo flights. Those are the freighters that don't have passenger seats in them. Now we have about 30 or 40 a day, plus there's some passenger airplanes, KLM and some others, that are taking passenger airplanes and flying cargo. So the cargo business is going, but the passenger business took a tremendous hit. And with that, we've recovered slightly. What I will say is we're up to 1,500 flights a day, which is about 60% of where we are. And we're running about 100,000 passengers a day, which is about 30% of where we were. As you know, our largest partner, Delta, is keeping the middle seat vacant, which reduces the load capacity to about 60%. American is letting people off planes. Southwest is only boarding about 60-something% of the plane to keep the social distancing while you fly, to make it as safe as possible to continue here. But the pandemic has hit us, and we still are learning every day what we need to do to make the airport safer and safer. And then your question about the pivot. At Hartsfield-Jackson, we just won the safety award for the Southeast region for 2019. Safety has always been in our blood. It has always been part of an airport. Air travel has always been incredibly safe. And safety was just a given. So we had this culture. Everybody felt comfortable. Passengers felt comfortable. Employees felt comfortable working here. Safety was our number one focus, but it was in our blood and it was automatic. The pandemic hits. Now it is this invisible enemy that we don't know how to fight. We can engineer airplanes to be safer and safer. We can make pilots safer and safer by training. All of a sudden, we have this pandemic, an enemy that we do not know how to combat. And what we did was follow the CDC guidelines. We went everything we can do, from social distancing to sterilization to working with our airline partners to keep social distancing on the plane, to fogging, to doing all of these things to make it as safe as possible. But most importantly, Hartsfield-Jackson has 5 million masks available to give out to our passengers. So that is really the focus of where we're going now, is to keep everybody on a flight and make sure they're wearing a mask. So that pivot to go from automatic safety to how do we fight an enemy that we don't know, we can't see, and we don't know how it acts is very difficult, and we've pivoted quite well. And like I said before, we've recovered quite a bit so far into this pandemic, David.
Well, John, a follow-up question. It's been rumored that you've been seen in the terminal handing out masks or asking people that you encounter that don't have masks if they'd like a mask. How is the public doing in terms of following CDC guidelines and the request to wear a mask if you're at the airport?
I will tell you, it was a tough go. It was a little rough in the beginning. We started asking people to wear masks, and then Mayor Bottoms, this is a city facility, mandated masks in the building, and we had plenty to give out. So we became a little bit more, I want to use the term aggressive, but not aggressive. We became a little bit more proactive in going up to customers that didn't have a mask and say, hey, would you like a free mask? And as you know, you can't get on the plane without wearing a mask because the airlines would not let you on. So we have evolved into this. You come to the airport, you wear a mask when you get here, and you go forward through security, get on your plane. So that problem pretty much has gone away. I will tell you, I am down there in the atrium and at the checkpoint and on the concourses. And occasionally you see somebody maybe wearing a mask around their chin. But I would tell you 99.99% of the people here have a mask and are wearing them mostly correctly. So it is much better in the last 3 weeks than it's been prior to that, for sure.
Let's move to your view of the recovery. You know, what do you think the recovery will look like? What will it take for the general and business traveler to feel sufficiently comfortable to be getting on a plane and move the needle in terms of the survey that we just saw?
Yeah, and I appreciate everybody's input. That's very promising data that you all presented. So we all need a vaccine, period. We need to beat this. We need to beat this pandemic. We need to beat this virus. And once everybody really feels comfortable that they can sit next to somebody and possibly not wear a mask, would be the way we're really going to fully recover. We need to get life back to normal, and whether we get there or not, I would assume this nation has overcome every enemy we've ever fought, and we're going to beat this thing for sure. So I think the vaccine is key to a full recovery. I think a modest recovery is going to come here slowly as more and more people fly. They see that it is safe. If they wear the mask, they take care of their hand washing, the sanitation. The airlines continue to provide social distancing like the airport. But most importantly, I think we need a federal policy. So when you get on a plane in Hartsfield-Jackson, that when you land, let's just take Phoenix, that the same protocols are in place. Masks are required. Cleaning standards are the same. The hand sanitizers are by the escalators and elevators. Electrostatic fogging is going on. All employees and personnel are wearing masks. There's plexiglass at every ticket counter. So until we get the vaccine, we need a standard travel process through the federal government, implemented through the FAA and the CDC, to really revive this industry going forward and make it as safe as we can with what we know, David.
Yeah. Thank you, John. What financial assistance has the airport received? And, in your view, is it sufficient to bridge to some normalcy and recovery?
So Hartsfield-Jackson, number one again, thank goodness, we received $338.5 million from the CARES Act. And we have used that to replace revenue from our airline partners, our concessionaires, and our parking revenue that has been obviously missing since the virus has happened. So we received a very good chunk of money that will carry us at least through this fiscal year. In fiscal year 20, which is ended for us July 1st, 2020. We used about $80 million of our CARES money, and we have sufficient funds based on the way we're operating right now, based on the forecast that we think will be at about 50% of our passengers by next May, and that will generate certain revenues for us. So we feel we're in a very good financial position going forward to maintain our business model, because as you reduce the number of flights, it's a cost recovery model. So the landing fees would go up as you reduce flights. So we are using our CARES money to keep that business model of that landing fee at around 95 cents per 1,000 pound of airplane, which is where we were prior to COVID. We have also reduced our rates for our leases, and we're providing help, rent relief, and free storage to our concessionaires to help them get their business back going. So we are using these dollars here very judiciously to keep the enterprise running safely with security and keep our low business model, because we want Hartsfield-Jackson to be the busiest airport in the world this year also.
Well, I assume, as busy as you've been with the pandemic, that you've put all your capital projects on hold and waiting to see you get back to normal. Is that right, John?
Absolutely not. We got about almost $900 million worth of projects. We have not canceled one project. Right now, we're building 5 gates. We're speeding up the plane train, making it turnaround faster. We're building an end-around taxiway for efficiency. Our runway 9 left. We're putting pedestrian bridges across our roads. We're also what else are we doing? Oh my goodness. We're building 5 more lanes at our security checkpoint. We are going to be ready to roll when this pandemic is over. And we're going to be very, very happy when we get up to about 115 million passengers again. But the pandemic has done some things for us. We have been able to work longer hours for our capital program, like building that self-security checkpoint, 5 additional lanes there, because we can close it right now due to the pandemic, and the contractor can work around the clock. So we're accelerating certain capital projects right now. This is a golden opportunity to reduce the operational impact and work on the airport, not only from a maintenance perspective, but from a capital construction capacity perspective and an efficiency perspective. So the capital machine at Hartsfield-Jackson is rolling right now as we speak, David.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Very impressive. Well, we've got some questions that are rolling in from the audience, but before we go to those, I want to take a minute and have you talk about what your background, what prepared you for your job, and then the heretofore unimaginable circumstances we find ourselves in today with the pandemic.
Sure.
Tell us about your background, John.
Well, I went to a school by a river called Canoe U. Excuse me, Eddie, I apologize. But I went to the United States Naval Academy with my friend Eddie there. He was a little couple years behind me. But I went to Annapolis, and then from Annapolis, I graduated and became a Navy pilot. And at the age of 17, when I went to the Naval Academy, they just break you down and build you up the way you got to be successful and be a leader. That's their goal, is to build leaders. And many of the things that I learned while I was at the Naval Academy, I got to hone during my 20-year Navy career, from how to manage in difficult situations. Whoa, yeah, there we go. How to manage a difficult situation and how to get out of it. But David, the point about the pandemic is key. When you're the pilot, the captain of the ship, when you're out at sea in the middle of the Pacific Ocean and something goes wrong, you're trained in the Navy to be flexible, responsive, thoughtful, engaging the team. And you have to learn the team is going to keep the crew of that ship during an emergency, is going to keep that thing afloat, and it's going to keep it moving. This pandemic was similar to, I view, as being, I'm the captain of the ship, and we've taken a torpedo, and how are we going to manage this? And those tools and trades that you learn while you're in the military and at the Naval Academy about leadership, lead by example, give people the opportunity to succeed and also to fail and make mistakes and grow and build a succession plan behind you, are critical. Because when that captain leaves, somebody's got to step on. When he gets promoted, somebody's got to step onto that bridge and run that ship. And this is the way Hartsfield-Jackson is. I view it as this ship that got hit by a torpedo, and now how are we managing our way around it? And it's step by step, but it's input from the team, and it is a team response. And leadership has to be by example, has to be. And without that, I think you have some difficulties. It also has to have the integrity. And you see it throughout the military, where a captain of a ship will do something and he may get relieved, but he believes it's the right thing to do. And you have to have that personal integrity and moral compass to go forward, which is what you learn by following examples. Leadership to me is a quiver on your hip, and you're shooting a bow and arrow, and every time a situation comes up, you pull a different leadership arrow out and you use it to be effective. And if that doesn't work, you pull another one out. And these are the things you learn through your life going forward, of watching these successful leaders and how do they manage through crisis.
Well, I think you and that was great. A great explanation. I think you actually answered what I was going to ask you next, which was, what's your management style and philosophy about developing future leaders? I think you've already nailed it. So let me turn to some audience questions. I'm going to start with a real easy one. As you were taking the helm back in 2018, I recall that state government was expressing strong interest in wresting control of the airport from the city. And my observation was that your arrival as an accomplished leader had a calming influence on those discussions. But I'd like to hear your perspective and thoughts about those discussions resurfacing.
Thank you, David. And yes, I knew this coming into this position. where the airport was and what the state was trying to do with the airport going forward and taking the airport over. The airport has never had a problem. I hate to say that, but I don't hate to say that. The reality is the airport has never been involved with any of these issues that the state was addressing. The airport is the most efficient. It generates tremendous revenue. Our airline partners really like us. They backed us in this process. And I think my effect on the situation was sitting before the House and the Senate and explaining how the airport works, the management of the airport, that the city has the operating license, but I don't control procurement and I don't control some things here at the airport. So let's fix the problem. The airport is not the problem. The airport is this mega economic engine for Georgia that runs super efficiently by the leaders that are here from the city of Atlanta. If there's some problems somewhere else in the city government, let's fix that and let's move forward. So that's always been my view, is to keep Hartsfield-Jackson running as efficiently, as profitable, and driving jobs and corporate headquarters here and tourism and conventions and doing all of that to make us the best we can be. And those other problems are just outside of the airport, and the airport really is not the focus of that. So I think I was able to convey that message effectively, but we'll see what happens going forward here.
Thank you. I think apropos to our earlier speaker, I wonder if you could comment on what's been put in place at the airport to reduce human trafficking.
Yeah, we have an extensive program here. If you get on our plane train, you'll hear about it. You'll see videos on our advertising. When I say advertising, on our video walls, you'll see awareness. Our goal here at Hartsfield-Jackson is to raise awareness. I can tell you, I've been here almost 2 years now, and I have seen 3 times where there's been possible human trafficking calls into our police department here, Atlanta PD, for possible human trafficking. I'm happy to say that in all 3 cases, it was not human trafficking. But when you raise the awareness about human trafficking, whether it's on the plane train with audio or video advertising, we also have a very large gathering at the Georgia Convention Center over here, the GICC, and have a huge, hundreds of people show up for awareness training for our human trafficking program. It really is about awareness and providing the average person the tools to recognize it and how do you report it, which I think makes it a very successful program here at Hartsfield-Jackson.
That's great. What requests do you have for us, the traveling public, as we resume our travel and visits to Hartsfield-Jackson?
Well, first of all, obviously, travel is as safe as we can make it. We're doing everything we can. Like I said, we have 100,000 passengers a day and 1,500 flights. So the best thing you can do is to wear a mask, comply with CDC regulations, and be patient. Be patient. And if you see somebody not complying with what you want or you get uncomfortable, voice it to someone in one of our, whether it's a customer service, a police officer, or a security force, voice it to them. Don't engage, and let us try to help you if you do feel uncomfortable. But I think you'll find that we've done quite a bit. And I don't know if I believe Dr. Del Rio from Emory flew here 2 weeks ago through Hartsfield-Jackson. If you check his tweet out, he was very satisfied with the way we conducted business, and he felt it was very safe to travel. That was his opinion. So we think we're doing everything we can, but we want you to be extra certain that you're comfortable traveling and that we're doing everything we can. And if you think we can do something better, please let us know. Please write to me, tweet, I have a huge social media department. Post it. We'll get you an answer. But we're looking for all the improvements we can that are being done around the country and around the world to make air travel safe, to get this economic engine going again.
That's great. What about the retail? What's the percentage of your retail that's open for business, and how have you been willing to flex to help the retailers who are hard hit? And I say retail, I mean restaurants as well.
Sure. So we have about 340 venues in the concourses and in the atrium. And when COVID hit, we kept Concourse A open and a couple other concourses, Concourse F. But we lost about 300 stores. About 300 of the stores closed, period. We waived their rent to keep them afloat, and waived their fees for storage, office space, and went forward to try to let them close and see if they can help get a PPP loan to keep their employees on the payroll and provide some health benefits. But we allowed them to just close shop, basically for free for us. But now as traffic has come back, we probably have right now about 200, we probably have about 125 of them open, and more opening every day. I will tell you, some of them are having trouble getting staff due to the, well, it had just expired, but the unemployment benefits at $600 a week were quite good, and thank goodness for the federal government. But some of our concessionaires and retail outlets were having trouble getting their help back with the unemployment insurance that people were getting. But we're getting back slowly. But for now, for the next year, there will be no minimum guarantee, which is a rent, and we will get a percentage of their gross sales based on the percentage of the concourse traffic that it was prior to 2019. So in other words, if you're on Concourse B and there's 50% of the traffic, instead of paying a percentage of, say, 10%, they pay a percentage of 5%. So we're working with them as best we can to make it as attractive for them to bring their business back, which will also help generate more revenue for us and provide more customer service for our customers that are flying.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, as we wrap up, I wondered if you could tell us what's the most important thing that you want people to know about leading Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, and also about the airline industry as a whole.
Sure. Hartsfield-Jackson and airlines are incredibly fragile businesses. Very fragile. Profit margins are tight. There's so many. I'm a former helicopter pilot also. Moving parts cause fragility. Weather, airplanes, people, baggage carts, everything. There's so many moving parts here at Hartsfield-Jackson. To keep it together, you need to be able to manage a tremendous amount of change and emergencies. There's emergencies here every day. I worked for Colin Powell in the Pentagon for a little bit. And from a leadership perspective, he called us all in one day and said, the staff, you all are amazing. You military officers are amazing. You give me 99% solutions all the time. 99% correction, 99% accuracy in all your answers. He said, I want to change that. And we were like, oh my goodness, he wants 100%? That's going to be difficult. He said, nope, I'm an 80% guy. You give me a solution that's 80% and it takes you 25%, 50% less time to get there, give me that solution and let's keep the ball moving. I kind of feel like that's where we are now. Every day, something changes at Hartsfield-Jackson, whether it's police, operations, fire, security. You have to go with an 80% solution here. So we're not going to be perfect. There's so many moving parts, we're not going to be perfect. But I want everybody to understand and look at the airport as a whole and what we provide and the value we provide, and understand that we're doing the best we can to try to keep this engine running as fast as we can and generate the economic activity that we need and provide that service that will grow Atlanta, Georgia, and the region.
That's great. Well, on behalf of not only the Rotary Club, but all of Atlanta, I'd like to thank you for your service and the great job that you're doing leading the airport. And it's a real honor to have you join us in the Atlanta Rotary Club as a member as well as a speaker. So with that, thank you, John. I'd like to turn it back over to President Carr.
Well, thank you, David, and John. Thank you. You know, some of the best programs are the ones that are conversations, and just watching you two just go back and forth on Q&A and just giving real-time responses is just fascinating. John, before we let you go, maybe just one follow-up question, and you were alluding to it a little bit in your closing comment there. You know, as you go from triage to adapting, and you're looking, 5-10 years down the road, are there some best practices you think actually you come out of from this experience actually performing better because of it in some odd way?
Absolutely. Let me give you a for instance. So we had a TSA agent come down positive with COVID 3 weeks ago, right around July 1st. He came down with COVID. We had to close our main checkpoint. All 18 lanes had to close, and we had 5 lanes on the north side. We had lines almost out the building that day because now we have to get a cleaning crew in to sterilize the facility. So it took us a little while. We had cleaning crew on call and so on and so forth. But what we realized is we need to do better, because whether it's COVID or some other pandemic or incident, we need to be able to recover this airport faster. So we are putting contracts in place with vendors for cleaning and rebuilding, and electricians and plumbers and all the things you would think that you probably don't need to have a contract for, with an immediate kind of response. We don't want to wait 12 hours. We need to have contractors here or staff or people here, within an hour. So we're putting contracts in place to provide that service going forward. So when the next emergency happens, we're ready. So there is some things that we're learning going forward for sure.
Well, again, John, thank you. That was a comprehensive discussion that you and David had today. And we're really excited to have you a member of our club. And we thank you for presenting today the latest on the airport. So thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk about my favorite place.
Very good. Well, we do hope that over the coming 12 to 18 months, we all get to go back and contribute to making it your favorite place.
Please do. Talk to you.
Well, thank you.